The millionaire came home early. His maid whispered, "Stay quiet." The reason was shocking. Richard Cole didn't build a fortune by trusting people blindly. At 52, with silver gray hair and piercing blue eyes, he'd clawed his way from nothing to Manhattan's elite. Penthouse overlooking Central Park, a private garage with 5 custom cars worth millions, and Margaret, his beautiful wife, 20 years younger, who loved his lifestyle more than she'd ever loved him. But Richard didn't see that. Not yet. October 17th started like any other business trip. 3 days in Chicago for a conference, a quick kiss goodbye to Margaret, and Richard drove his black Mercedes to the airport. But when the keynote speaker canceled 2 hours in, the whole event collapsed. By 2 p.m., Richard was heading home early. At the airport parking garage, his luck got worse. His Mercedes wouldn't start. The engine was completely dead. Frustrated, Richard called a taxi. He didn't bother telling Margaret about the car trouble or that he was coming home early. He'd deal with the car later. Right now, he just wanted to get home. 4:37 p.m. The taxi dropped Richard off at his building. He thanked the driver, grabbed his briefcase, and headed straight to the private garage entrance. That's when he saw her. Maya burst through the service entrance the moment he stepped into the garage, moving faster than he'd ever seen her move. 19 years old, with rich dark skin and wide, expressive brown eyes that usually stayed carefully lowered. She'd worked for them for 8 months, so quiet Richard sometimes forgot she existed. Her traditional maid's uniform, black dress, white apron and collar, white headpiece, was pristine. But those bright yellow rubber cleaning gloves on her hands were trembling violently, and her face? Pure, undiluted terror. "Mr. Cole," she gasped, sprinting toward him. "Get down, now!" Before Richard could react, Maya grabbed his arm with desperate strength. She yanked him toward his silver Bentley parked in the corner. She dropped to the concrete floor and dragged him under the Bentley with her. "What the hell are you—" Richard started, but her yellow-gloved hand clamped over his mouth. "Please," she whispered, her voice shaking with fear. "Trust me. Stay quiet. If they find you, we're both dead." Dead? Richard's mind spun. This was his private garage, his secure building with doormen and cameras, and then he heard it. The elevator doors opened. Footsteps. Multiple heavy footsteps echoing through the concrete garage. Male voices, casual and confident. "Check all the cars," a deep voice commanded. "She said he drives a black Mercedes. Make sure it's empty when he gets here." Through the gap between the concrete and the bottom of the Bentley, Richard could see boots, heavy black tactical boots, at least 3 pairs, spreading out across the garage. "His Mercedes spot is empty," one man said, checking Richard's usual parking space. "He's not here yet." Richard's eyes widened in realization. His Mercedes, with the dead engine, was still sitting at the airport. These men had no idea. They thought he was still on his way home. "Good," another voice replied, this one with a harsh accent. "When he pulls in, we do it clean. Quick shot. Make it look like a carjacking gone wrong." Richard's blue eyes went wide with horror. Carjacking? Shot? His heart hammered so loudly he was certain they'd hear it. Then he heard the voice that shattered his world. "Is everything in position?" Margaret's voice. His wife, coming from the service entrance. She walked into the garage like she owned it, because she did. Richard could see her designer heels clicking across the concrete, stopping near the men. "All set," the deep-voiced man confirmed. "As soon as he arrives and parks, we take him out. fast and clean. "Perfect," Margaret said, and Richard heard something in her tone he'd never heard before. Cold satisfaction. "Make sure you get his phone, wallet, and watch. Real carjackers would take those, and remember, 3 shots to the chest, no face shots. I need to identify the body or the insurance won't pay out." Under the Bentley, pressed against concrete with a 19-year-old maid's hand over his mouth, Richard Cole realized his wife wasn't just planning to rob him. She was orchestrating his murder right here, in his own garage. "What about the maid?" one of the men asked. Margaret laughed, a cold, cruel sound Richard had never heard from her before. "Maya? Please, I've been paying that little mouse extra for months to keep her mouth shut about my guests. She knows to disappear when I tell her to. Besides, who's going to believe a poor black foster kid over a grieving millionaire's widow?" Under the Bentley, Maya's entire body went rigid. Richard felt her hand trembling against his face, but she didn't move, didn't make a sound. "When's he supposed to arrive?" the accented man asked. "Any minute," Margaret replied. "His plane landed 40 minutes ago. Traffic from the airport takes about 45 minutes. So we wait, and when he pulls in and gets out of his car—" She made a gun gesture with her manicured fingers. "Bang, bang, bang. I become a very rich widow, you all get your cut, and we never see each other again." Richard watched the boots disappear behind various positions. His empty parking spot, waiting for the Mercedes that would never arrive, was directly in the kill zone. If his car hadn't broken down, if he'd driven home like usual, he'd have parked right there and stepped out, completely unaware he'd already be dead. The garage fell silent, waiting. Richard could hear his own heartbeat pounding in his ears. Maya's yellow-gloved hand was still pressed over his mouth, her dark eyes never leaving the narrow view they had from under the Bentley. Minutes crawled by. Richard's body was cramping from the awkward position, but he didn't dare move. Through the tiny gap, he could see the boots shifting impatiently in their hiding spots. Then Margaret's phone rang. "What?" she snapped, answering it. A pause. "What do you mean you're tracking his phone? Where is he?" Another pause. Her designer heels clicked nervously. "That's impossible. He should still be in traffic unless—" Her voice went sharp with panic. "Unless he's already in the building." Under the Bentley, Maya's grip on Richard tightened. "Search the garage!" Margaret screamed. "All of it! He might already be here." Boots thundered across the garage. Maya's mind raced. She'd been preparing for this moment. 2 months ago she'd overheard Margaret on a burner phone. "Tuesday, garage. When he comes home from Chicago, make it look like a carjacking." Maya had grown up in foster care, 14 different homes, before aging out at 18. She'd learned to survive by being invisible, by listening, by seeing what others missed. And when predators show themselves, you believe them. So Maya had documented everything: photos, recordings, bank transfers. 90 minutes ago, when she saw 3 armed men entering through the service entrance, she'd sent it all to the FBI. "Murder in progress. Cole penthouse garage. Send help now." "Check under every car," the leader barked. Boots approached the Bentley. Maya watched them through the narrow gap. 3 feet away, 2 feet, a man dropped to his knees, bending down to look under the car. His eyes locked with Richard's. "Found!" The garage exploded with sound. "FBI, drop your weapons! Hands up!" The service entrance burst open. FBI agents in tactical gear flooded through. The main elevator opened. More agents. Red laser sights painted dots across the killers' chests. The man who'd spotted them scrambled backward, reaching for his gun. Down on the ground, now! Within seconds, all three men were face down, hands zip-tied. Margaret tried to run for the elevator, her designer heels clicking frantically, but an agent caught her arm. "Margaret Cole, you're under arrest for conspiracy to commit murder." "No, this is a mistake. Richard, tell them." Maya and Richard crawled out from under the Bentley, both covered in concrete dust. Maya's yellow-gloved hands were still shaking. Richard couldn't take his eyes off his wife, beautiful, sophisticated Margaret, now in handcuffs, mascara running down her face. An Asian woman in an FBI jacket approached them. "Mr. Cole, I'm Special Agent Chen. Are you injured?" Richard shook his head, unable to speak. "And you must be Maya Lopez," Agent Chen said, turning to the young woman in the maid's uniform. "We got your package 90 minutes ago. Photos, recordings, bank statements, everything we needed. Your documentation was extremely thorough. You saved his life." "I learned to pay attention," Maya said quietly, "to notice things people think nobody sees." Richard finally found his voice. "You knew? For how long?" Maya looked at him with those wise eyes. 2 months. I overheard a phone call, then started documenting everything. I knew if I just told you, you wouldn't believe me. A poor maid accusing your beautiful wife. So I built a case. Evidence you couldn't ignore." "Why didn't you just leave?" Richard asked, his voice breaking. "You could have quit, disappeared." "Because I've been invisible my whole life, Mr. Cole," Maya said softly. 14 foster homes. Nobody ever saw me, nobody ever protected me. But maybe this one time, being invisible could save someone. Across the garage, Margaret was being led away. "Richard! Richard! Tell them this is a mistake." Richard looked at his wife of 5 years, the woman who'd planned his murder down to which bullets to use, and said nothing. Agent Chen handed Richard a card. "We'll need statements tomorrow. For tonight, your penthouse is a crime scene." Maya started to walk toward the service entrance, ready to disappear like always. "Wait," Richard called out. "Maya, where will you go?" She shrugged. "I have a room in the Bronx. I'll be fine." "No," Richard said firmly. "Not tonight. Not after what you just did." He pulled out his phone. "I'm booking you a hotel suite, and tomorrow we're setting up a scholarship fund. Full ride to any university you want." Maya stared at him. "Mr. Cole, you don't have to—" "Yes, I do," Richard interrupted. "You saved my life. You saw me when I never bothered to see you. That's not just courage. That's intelligence and strength I can never repay." For the first time, Maya smiled. Not the careful smile of a maid, but a real smile. "I wasn't trying to get anything. I just didn't want to see someone die when I could stop it." "I know," Richard said quietly. "That's exactly why you deserve it." 6 months later, Richard stood in a courtroom as Margaret and her accomplices received their sentences. Conspiracy to commit murder, attempted murder, wire fraud. Richard wasn't watching Margaret. He was looking at Maya Lopez beside him, wearing a professional suit instead of a maid's uniform, enrolled at Columbia University studying criminal justice. Full scholarship. Richard had started the Visible Foundation for kids aging out of foster care. Maya was the first scholarship recipient and youngest board member. After the verdict, they walked into the afternoon sun. "Your car breaking down," Maya said. "If that hadn't happened, I'd be dead," Richard finished. "Sometimes the worst luck is the best luck. Or maybe the universe puts you exactly where you need to be," Maya smiled. "Under a Bentley with a maid in yellow rubber gloves." Richard laughed. "Worst hiding spot ever." It worked, didn't it? Sometimes the person who saves your life is the one you never noticed. Sometimes courage comes in a black and white uniform with yellow rubber gloves. And sometimes the worst day of your life is the day you finally start seeing clearly. If this story moved you, please hit that like button and subscribe for more incredible true stories. Share this video with someone who needs to hear it. Comment below. Would you have trusted Maya? Drop your thoughts. See you in the next story.